Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Trader Talks, where today we are going to focus on crude oil. It has jumped in price over the weekend, and we will have a look at the chart and discuss what could happen next, where traders might be looking at, and we'll go through a few other little bits and pieces as well. Remember, if you are on the podcast, the link is in the bio for the YouTube. And do let me know in the comments as well what you think about this and other related assets. But also do remember that the presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as investment advice, personal recommendation, or an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any financial instrument. So please do let me know in the chat on YouTube what you think is going to happen with oil. Do you think it continues to go higher? Do you think we see a full retrace? Do you think the geopolitical situation is going to worse? I'd be really interested to know everyone's thoughts. But what did happen? Well, after the geopolitical situation of the weekend, oil prices jumped higher, but so did things like gold, and the US dollar strengthened as well, that safe haven flow, while riskier assets such as equities came under pressure. The Nasdaq, the S&P, the Dow were all down 1% upon opening, and despite a little bit of recovery, they did then drift lower into European trade as well. I have to say, predicting what will happen next is going to be tough. Oil is already a little bit off those higher levels, and we're certainly entering a phase now where it's going to be headline driven. What happens in this market, and determining price will be tough, but it's important to be reactionary if you are looking to trade oil. If you're not, no issue. If you're watching from the sideline, no issue as well. And we'll look at the chart, because what the chart can do for those people that may be looking to invest or trade elsewhere, it can tell you what the general sentiment is. If oil is trading at some point back towards its high, you can presume that this situation hasn't improved. It's getting worse. Whereas if oil does continue to break lower or break support, you can presume that things are going to look a little bit better as well. So think about the correlations at play here. The initial move we saw were oil higher, safe havens higher, equities lower. Situation improves, you see a reverse of that. Now, smart portfolios that I always think are good to keep an eye on in these situations are listed on the screen. Remember, if you're on the podcast, link is in the bio. Oil worldwide, gold worldwide, Europe defense, drone tech, and nuclear future. And I think what's really useful for anyone that looks at these smart portfolios is you can have a look at all the individual stocks that make up those smart portfolios and see if they are opportunities you are interested in, or again, just getting an idea of sentiment. Now, to the chart, this is how I've been looking at oil over the last sort of few weeks. I've had a few levels marked up, and after we broke this trend, and actually people may well remember that in sort of the mid part of last year, we had a geopolitical situation that spiked higher for oil, and then within a couple of sort of weeks we were back below. So a very key trend line, I thought, and we did break it at the beginning of the year, and oil actually had a period of weeks where it was just pushing up and up and up, and months as well where it continued to push on. And that is also after we were trading around $55 a couple of times, and all other commodities were pushing on. So we've broken that trend line. We got above 60 at that moment. For me, and we were talking about this on the webinars and the podcast, oil definitely looked a lot more bullish. The reason we're higher this morning is nothing to do with technicals. We have to understand that it's a fundamentally driven move that spiked us towards near $75. As I said earlier, we have just moved a little bit lower. So we'll have a look on the lower timeframes to discuss all of that in a moment. The next area above where we're trading, I think that's really important, is in and around $78. You can see resistance here from midway through last year, the beginning of 2025 and late 2024 as well. That's a very key level to keep a watch on. You'd imagine a lot of traders are identifying that point as a place to maybe take profit, or to wait for the breakout of that to go to the next sort of key level as well. So keep a watch on that. Now, as I mentioned, whether you're looking to trade this or not, it can be quite interesting to get a guide on sentiment for oil. And the first level I want to bring to attention here is $70.12. If we finish above that, you could argue that the bulls are still in control. The bulls are still in control of this, and the direction of travel, technically, would be to the upside. Obviously, fundamentals will still override this. If we close back below 70.12 on a day, it is worth just remembering where we closed on Friday, which is 67.83. So there's a gap fill opportunity in that. And this is a period where I think you've got two areas of defense for oil, one being 70.12 and one being 67.83. Below that, things change. The whole move would be wiped out. If that's to be the case, you would imagine equities are then starting to push higher. Gold is coming under a little bit of pressure. The dollar starts to weaken as well as the situation improves. So 67.83 and 70.12 are the two levels I'm really keeping an eye on. As long as we stay above that, it does feel like the move would be to the upside. Below, then yeah, you would start thinking about oil coming back down towards $64, for example. So that they're areas that I think are super important. And then to the upside, anything around $78, because you can really see just how key this whole level is, right? What a important resistance level. Let's just argument's sake say this wasn't a fundamental move and you got long either on the double bottom low at 54 or the break of the trend line at 62. You would probably be saying that's one of the main targets for a medium-term swing trade up to $78. So that would still remain the case. If things do get worse, it's going to go through that. Of course it is. And then you start thinking about all these other highs in and around the sort of $83 handle, which was the high from July 2024. Above that, you then had the next level at around 86, which is the high from April 2024. So do keep a close watch on all of these points. I think they're worth having them marked up. But ultimately, for me, the key area to keep an eye on is this point that I've just highlighted here between $67 and $70. Price remains above that. The bulls are still in control. Below there, you start to see a big unwind as well. I mentioned those smart portfolios, so I'll just go through oil worldwide for an example. So some people don't want to trade oil for the volatility or the exposure, whatever. But within the long oil industry, oil worldwide, you can have a look at the companies here. Shell, BP, Chevron, for example. Let's just have a quick look at Shell just to see how that's performing today. And you can see that that is up already 2% this morning and is trading above a very key level. And again, it's one where you sort of look at this and say, as long as Shell stays above 3,000, the direction of travel should be to the upside, at least sentiment-wise. But anyway, let me know what you all think. Drop a comment below. I'll reply to as many as I can. And we'll be back for a new episode soon. Take care, everyone. See you then.